Hello again, everybody. Welcome once more to Powerline with the Video Ministry. This is Richard Ike, and we're on episode number 148. And the title of today's message is The Female Champions of the Bible, Part 16. The Female Champions of the Bible, Part 16. We started on the book of Ruth. I broke down the message on chapter 1, and today we're done with chapter 2. And as is my tradition, I have an addendum. Well, 2 messages ago, I touched on in my description. This was done with the book of Esther, a complete part of the book of Esther. I mentioned about Herod and Herodias as it relates to the spirit of Jezebel, which Esther did not have, neither did King Ahasuerus, her husband, have, because Herod is the male version of Jezebel, and Herodias had the spirit of Jezebel. So I was in my description, I heard myself say that Herods always tend to end up with Ahab. I meant to say Herodias, the Herodias type. I said the Herod type and end up with Ahab. I said, it sounded like a gay relationship. I said, no, let me correct myself. I meant to say Herodia, the Herodias type, end up with the Ahab, but the Herodias type are Jezebel. But the Lord now revealed to me that we've been under the impression that Jezebels only attracted to the Ahab types. That the Jezebels, they're also compatible with Herods, because the male counterpart, or with the Ahab, different with the Ahab, the weak, spineless man. The Jezebel is controlling from the foreground. As it was with Jezebel and Ahab, she was controlling from the foreground. But with a Herod type, who's the male version of a Jezebel controls from the background. She used her daughter to get what she wanted from Herod. But she's compatible with a Herod. She can be with either Ahab or a Herod. With an Ahab, she controls from the foreground. With a Herod, she controls from the background, behind the scenes. And speaking of Herod and Herodias, John the Baptist, who Herod killed because of Herodias, he was killed because he was fighting for Herod's brother. He told Herod, it is not lawful for you to have your brother's wife. That's what got him killed. He was fighting Herod's brother. So be careful when you get into people's family business. It can kill you. That's what happened to John the Baptist. He fought for Herod's brother. So most likely, Herod's brother was an Ahab type, spineless and wimpy, because it wasn't Herod's brother fighting for himself. It was John the Baptist fighting for Herod's brother. So he must have been Ahab type. So Herod just left him for Herod. However, what's interesting, I said, Herodias, that's the female name for Herod. Is it a coincidence? I don't think that was her real name. I think that's a name that she chose to show her compatibility with Herod. Like the couples that wear the same color outfit or the same, use the same material to make their outfit. That's they dress matching, so she want to have a matching name with Herod, because they're so identical in personality. I said, well, is it a coincidence that the brother, Herod's brother, whose name was Philip, he had a brother named Herod. Then he married a woman named Herodias. Why? Because the woman's name reminds him of his brother's name, or what? I think she took on that name to show her compatibility with Herod. But after, Herod used to listen to John the Baptist and faith and all that stuff. But when John the Baptist got into his family business, I threw the man in jail. But I wanted to teach him a lesson. But then Herodias saw opportunity. I'm probably like, this man has disgraced me before. All the women of Judea will be gossiping about me. As she's going through the town, they're carrying her on their shoulder, and women will say, it's all because of this man, John the Baptist. I must deal with him. Careful when you get into people's family business. Like I said, it can kill you. Okay. Now, let me get into the message. And I corrected that. Oh, and when I was talking on our last message about Ruth, how Naomi, she was blaming God for calamities when it was clearly the devil at work. There was a Job principle. As the devil got permission from God to strike Job, but Job was blaming God. But God never denied the charges. That was an interesting part. So I used David as an example of how the devil will get permission from God to go act, but then God will be to blame. Because there are two accounts of an incident that happened. One was attributed to the devil, and another was attributed to God. And then the uninformed, the unwise will see it and say, oh, the Bible contradicts itself. When in reality, it's the devil acting by permission from God. But God, now, who granted the permission, taking the blame. And the scripture, I didn't have the scripture back then, so I have it now. The first one says, the first one was in 2 Samuel chapter 24. It says, and verse 1, it says, and again the anger of the Lord was kindled against Israel, and he moved David against them to say, go number Israel and Judah. It says, again the anger of the Lord was kindled against Israel, and he moved David again to say, go number Israel and Judah. But now when we get to 1 Chronicles 21 verse 1, this was 2 Samuel 24 verse 1. We get to 1 Chronicles 21 verse 1. It says, and Satan stood up against Israel and provoked David to number Israel. So they are informed on wise, those who are not plugged into Revelation say, oh, the Bible contradicts itself. No, it's the Job formula. We see in the book of Job, the formula was unveiled. The devil took permission from God to go strike. But when Job accused God, God did not deny him. He did not say, oh, it was the devil that did it, it was the devil that did it. The devil took permission. So from understanding that now, we know the word. Now, from having that in mind, then we know and understand the mechanism of how this is working. That Satan is acting by permission. So here it says, and Satan stood up against Israel and provoked David to number Israel. But then we'll go back here. It says, and the anger of the Lord was kindled against Israel, and he moved David against them to say, go number Israel and Judah. So Satan is acting by permission. We learned that from the book of Job. Satan is acting by permission. But this one gives the account of Satan himself doing it, but the other one gives the account of God who gives the permission. In the book of Job. For those who, people like a Nation of Islam, they zoom the black Muslims. They're always looking for something to fight against the Bible. And the Quran is full of its own contradiction. I remember challenging them, showing the contradiction of the Quran, and they are going nuts. Leave that one alone. Okay. Now let me get into the book of Ruth. You know what? Ruth, now begin with chapter 2. And I'll read chapter 2. And then begin to the verse by verse breakdown. Verse by verse breakdown is real sweet. That's not the only way to break down scripture, but it's sweet. You know, it's easy to defend arguments when it comes to verse studies. It's easy to defend argument that way because you're doing the whole contextual, right? You're taking the whole body. All right. And it begins. And the last message when I got cut off, I was explaining the situation of how the antagonist had been revealed, that was the devil that had gone to work. Naomi said, I left full, I came back empty. By the way, you know, that's the work of the devil. The thief coming to steal, kill, and destroy. I've come that I have life, I have done abundantly. It's the devil's pattern and God's pattern revealed in John 10:10. Now I mentioned that when they went to the land of Moab, it became clear to me that they were not supposed to leave Israel. It was embedded into the things that happened. And then when I went to go look at the background of Moab, I saw why. It seemed like the devil would have gone to seek permission to strike this family, because that's how he operates. Look for legal grounds in which to attack. So all these legal grounds, I found it. Yeah. What's one was in the Numbers? In Deuteronomy 23, verse 3 to 6. Deuteronomy 23. And Ammonites or Moabites shall not enter into the congregation of the Lord, even to their 10th generation shall they not enter into the congregation of the Lord forever. Because they met you not with bread and with water in the way, when you came forth out of Egypt, and because they hired against thee Balaam the son of Beor of Petor of Mesopotamia to curse thee. Nevertheless, the Lord thy God will not hearken unto Balaam, but the Lord thy God turned the curse into a blessing unto thee, because the Lord thy God loved thee. They didn't meet them with bread and water when they come out of Egypt. They hired Balaam to go and put a curse on them. It seemed like Balaam's plan failed, but Balaam's plan succeeded in another way. We find out later that Balaam gave Balak the advice to use the women to seduce the children of Israel, and then God himself turned against them and plague broke out. And after Balaam was killed, this was the words of Moses in Numbers 31 and 16. Behold, from verse 15. And Moses said unto them, have you saved all the women after they had destroyed their enemies and all that stuff? Moses said unto them, have you saved all the women alive? Behold, these caused the children of Israel through the counsel of Balaam to commit trespass against the Lord in the matter of Peor. And there was a plague among the congregation of the Lord. So the first assignment failed. Where to curse them. Yeah, you can curse what God has blessed, you can't bless what God has cursed. So Balaam went unpaid. But then he came back. He brought another advice. A counsel of hell told Balak to use the women to seduce them, the children of Israel. And then the plague broke out. God's hand turned against them. So Balak succeeded. So seeing this background, now go to Book of Ruth. Now see the Moabites, Israel's relation with Moab, and the ones that didn't give them bread when they are bread or water when they're coming from Egypt. And the king Balak went to go summon Balaam to put a curse on them, and they didn't succeed because they were keeping God's law. God covenant was upon them. But Balaam went behind the scene to give the king advice to send the women to seduce them so that the plague broke out against them. God turned against them, all that stuff. So this is what is in the background. It's a people who God is at odds with. So Elimelech now goes to these people to go make his habitation, and now gave the devil ammunition. Now, it said first that Elimelech, from chapter 1, let me go back to chapter 1, verse 2. And the name of the man was Elimelech, and the name of his wife was Naomi, and the name of the two sons were Mahlon and Chilion, Ephraimites of Bethlehem, Judah. And they came into the country of Moab and continued there. And Elimelech, Naomi's husband, died, and she was left and her two sons. And they took wives of the women of Moab, and the name of one was Orpah, and the name of the other was Ruth, and they dwelt there about 10 years. And Mahlon and Chilion died also, both of them, and the woman was left with her two sons and her husband. First, the man died. Then the sons took wives among the Moabites women. While the man was alive, they didn't take any sons. Well, it was after the man had died, while the man was alive, the sons didn't take any wives. But after the man had died, they took on wives. So perhaps Satan's targeting of the man was because he came to the land of Moab and legal rights. He got legal rights. So now wants his attack, and the man died. The children, however, when the father died, they were now, it seemed like the father was a hindrance from them affiliating the Moab, because it was after he died that they got married. And my suspicion was confirmed in the words of Nehemiah. Go to Nehemiah. I knew there had to be something to this thing, because on the surface, Ruth seemed like a boring book. I'm not reading the book of Ruth. Boring. Like, there's no villain. No, when you watch a movie, there's a good guy and bad guy. That's just standard storytelling. Antagonist and protagonist. You remove one, the movie is boring. If you see a movie, it's all bad guy doing bad things. Like, it'll be like chaotic. If you see a movie, just all good guys doing all good things, it'll get boring. But when you introduce the two together, you have action. Hey, okay. And the excitement comes. So Ruth, protagonist, no antagonist, boring. Now, discovering the antagonistic situations behind the scenes that had not been unveiled until I sought the Lord for myself. In the words of Nehemiah, final chapter, before the book of Esther starts, coincidentally, after his addressing all the issues, after all the battle with Sanballat and Tobiah, the villains, the antagonists of the book of Nehemiah. Nehemiah was the protagonist, the good guy. Sanballat and Tobiah were the antagonists, the bad guys. Typical storytelling, action, villain, and hero. And the conclusion matter. In Nehemiah chapter 13, he says this. Now dealing with the Jews, after he's rectified all the situation, now dealing with the Jews, some of the mischief of the Jews. He said, in those days also saw I Jews that had married wives of Ashdod, Ammon, and Moab. Where Ruth came from. And their children spake in the speech of Ashdod and could not speak in the Jewish language, but according to the language of each people. And I contended with them, and cursed them, and smote certain of them, and plucked off their hair. He said he basically beat them up, and smote certain of them, and plucked off their hair. I said, I sense Nehemiah must have been physically large, strong, and imposing, because he's doing the beating and they're not beating back. So this guy must have been not just strong or mental figure, but physically he must have been a big, strong fellow. I contended with them, and cursed them, and smote certain of them, and plucked off their hair, and grabbed their hair and plucked it off. My hair, plucked off their hair. Gave them. So this was a serious matter, so serious that he would beat them and pluck off their hair, because they married into these Gentile nations. And made them swear by God, saying, ye shall not give your daughters unto their sons, nor take their daughters unto your sons, or for yourselves. Did not Solomon king of Israel sin by these things? Yet among many nations was there no king like him, who was beloved of his God, and God made him king over all Israel. Nevertheless, even him did outlandish women cause to sin. We remember the counsel that Balaam gave Balak to send women to seduce the children of Israel into sinning, and then the plague came. Now he's confirming it. So basically, all those times that the nation of Israel have been rebelling, because they were going through cycle, they will rebel against God, judgment will come, and then they will repent, and then God send a deliverer, and then everything's out of the way, and then the next generation, they rebel again, and then judgment come, continuous cycle. And then I kept hearing this thing being repeated, and they did more evil than their fathers before. I said, why does this thing repeat? So the Lord said they were getting worse. But finally, it got zeroed down. What was causing them to keep rebelling? Because as they got to just cycle, said, what did these people learn from the last time? And they keep falling. It's because of the women. You are being seduced. That's the formula. Right? And when I was pondering upon this thing, I saw something. God has been protecting women, covering for them, even in the Bible. Because light has not been shown on this. Women, you want equality. Are you sure? Because you want equality. You get blamed for everything that has been caused by you women. From the days of the garden, God has been covering the women, covering, protecting them. They want equality. Move. They want equality so that all that they have caused, all the havoc they have caused will land on them. So we want equality. Are you sure? Hey, God Almighty has been covering for women. I said, so as women have been causing this thing. Israel going through cycles. Cycles. So why did they never understand? Why did they keep rebelling? It's the women that were seducing them. Foreign women. Because probably the Hebrew women were just nice and chaste, and not like church women of old, where they are scared below the ankle and carry their Bible and all that stuff. But the pagan women, no, those ones were loose. They wear their skirt up to here and showing everything. They were seducing the young boys. They will hear about the orgies in the temple, and they will want, come and join us in the temple. Come say, come. We're not supposed to do. We're not supposed to. Just this one time. Just one time. Okay, I'll come. Hold on, sir. I'll come. Just this one time. Leave me. Let go. I said, why did they keep going to this? It's the women that were seducing them. I said, so Lord, you've been protecting women, covering for them. Don't want them to receive the proper blame, but they're asking for equality. Let them get equal blame, because they are to blame for everything. Look at this whole thing was because of women. This whole book. We only received 2 chapters, Genesis chapter 1 and 2. When women messed up in chapter 3, this was all that was sent for the rescue. God had been covering for women on day 1. Hiding women covering so that they're not targets. You want equality, and you get the equal justice and judgment of God delivered unto you. So as I said, hey. So you've been covering for women and they don't know. We didn't know you. Then the fact that this stuff, they've been to blame for all this stuff. It's right there. Unless God removes the veil, you won't see it. Say, so women do. Hey. Let us count the ways. Adam was woman that caused this fall. Abraham was not woman, Sarah, because of Sarah's advice, and produced Ishmael. Should we go further? Samson, woman that caused this fall. Delilah. Chasing after foreign woman. His father told him, "Are there no women from among your brethren that you can pick for?" He said, "No, he wants the Philistine woman." Okay. David, woman that caused this fall. The days that the time when kings were supposed to go to war, David was at home. He was standing on his castle overlooking his kingdom. Suddenly he saw something, and the thing hit him. The power from this thing was like an atomic, the blast wave of a thermonuclear bomb hit him and incinerated him. He saw Bathsheba taking a bath. She was just taking a bath in her father's house, just taking her own bath, mind her own business. But the nuclear blast wave power of women hit the man, disintegrated him on the fence, on the wall. She didn't even know what had happened. She was unleashing power. Didn't know it. She was taking about. No, she was releasing power. David was roasting up there on the wall. He was roasting, incinerated, just completely ablaze. And she didn't know. All of a sudden, get that message. The king wants to see me. What? Why? That's it. Because women don't know they have this power. Sometimes they know and they take advantage of it. But because they have this power, this nuclear bomb power, you see them physically, they are afraid. No, their power is internal, unexplainable. Mystery. So God has been protecting, covering for them. I say, so you've been covering for women. The devil has now provoked them. So we want equality. They don't know. They don't know what they're asking for. They don't know that they have been covered. You've been hiding them from way back. See that? No. I don't get started. I won't have time to get into this book of Ruth. Just get myself so excited. Just the unveiling of this matter has God opened my eyes. He has been covering for women way back. Oh. So that's why Israel has been up and down. With God, now against God, with God, against God, with God, going back and forth. When this women throughout Israel, it was the women, they were being seduced by the women. Now let me get into chapter 2. How much time do I have? I'm not going to be able to read this whole thing. Okay. So the enemies, legal rights, and Elimelech, he was in the territory of Moab. That's where the enemy will not attack. But now the children, they married into a Moab. Now see that the children of Israel were not supposed to do that from how Nehemiah reacted. And they married to Ashdod, Ammon, Moabite women. Every night they beat them up, ripped out their hair and all that stuff. So that's they were not supposed to marry into. No, that's one of the nations they were not supposed to marry into. But here, the sons now after the father was gone, probably his father restrained them from doing that. Now that he was gone, the sons married, and then that's probably legal right that the enemy, the devil, used to claim them. Now God wants redeeming the situation by using Ruth. Don't let the enemy have the last say, the upper hand. God must have the last laugh. Use Ruth to redeem the situation. That's Ruth's mission, to redeem the situation. The scattering that the devil had done, God was going to do a gathering. And now that gathering begins in chapter 2, verse 1. Naomi had the kinsman of her husbands. Naomi had the kinsman of her husbands, a mighty man of wealth of the family of Elimelech, and his name was Boaz. It says a mighty man of wealth. It's another combo word. Just like with Esther was described as fair and beautiful, so which meant she was the most beautiful woman in the Bible, most likely, because usually the Bible says fair or beautiful. Now use another compound or another combination, another combo. A mighty man of wealth, usually say a mighty man or a wealthy man, but now the combination, a mighty man of wealth. Now that one is heavyweight. We're now entering like into Solomon-like territory. Said a mighty man of wealth. So that means all kind of combination. It must have been physically strong, socially strong, economically strong, financially strong, strong in every direction. Just everywhere you look at Boaz, you just see strength. When he spoke, you hear strength in his voice. You say words, the words are strong. Everything will be strong. Everything about him is strength. A mighty man of wealth. I said, this one sounds like a corporate CEO. And he was operating like a corporate CEO. The decisions were making like a corporate CEO, the type of CEO type. Those were mighty men of wealth. Run companies that have thousands of employees and stuff like that. I said, that's what Boaz sounded like. A corporate CEO. That's God now redeeming the situation. Because what happened? Naomi, she announced the wealthy. She said, I left full and came back empty. The whole town was moved. The only people won't behave like that when they're around wealthy folks. When the whole town was moved, she was wealthy. But say, hey, don't call me Naomi, call me Mara. I've changed, my status has changed. I left full, came back empty. The Lord had dealt with me. Let me go for what the devil had done. Now God is redeeming. And here come the redeeming, the element for redemption. Some do I have. Okay. I'm not going to make it to reading this chapter 2, so we're going to have to move it to the next message. And Naomi had a kinsman of her husband's, a mighty man of wealth, of the family of Elimelech, and his name was Boaz. And Ruth the Moabitess said unto Naomi, let me now go to the field and glean ears of corn after him, in whose sight I shall find favor. And she said unto her, go, my daughter. And she went, and came and gleaned in the field after the reaper. And her hap was to light on a part of the field belonging unto Boaz, who was of the kindred of Elimelech. She wanted to go, let them go and glean, because in law it tells them to leave some stuff for the what they didn't have it, that they shouldn't clear out the harvest, that leave some stuff for the needy, leave some stuff behind for the needy. So most likely Ruth has started learning about the Hebrew culture and the law and stuff like that for this to even enter her mind. She must have started learning some stuff. After being married to a Hebrew, a Jewish guy, must have learned some stuff. So she went to go glean, because if not, it wouldn't have entered her mind. No. So she went to go glean after the reapers. And it happened by chance. Here they say it happened that she went to the field of Boaz. That happening was God-induced happening. God was leading. God was directing her footsteps. Bible says the steps of a righteous man are ordered by the Lord. And we see it here. It was God that ordered Ruth's footsteps to Boaz failed. And they came the right way. Because Naomi, she didn't go to Boaz against man to go to tell him, oh, look at what happened to me, no, all this stuff. Boaz knew about it because when they mentioned Boaz, they knew about the situation. Neither did Boaz go to meet Naomi. Naomi didn't go to meet Boaz, Boaz didn't go to meet Naomi. I said, hey, what is going on? It seems like there's a pride situation. And now we feel like, this Boaz that used to be a little boy when I left, no, now he's a grown man. How can I go and meet him, whatever? And Boaz is like, okay, if she's not coming to me, maybe she doesn't have any need. I'll wait till she comes to me or something like that. I don't know what's going on. Like that's their king's man, redeemer, but no communication. And that's pride associated with these things. So he was once a ritual man. But I've seen what Boaz grew up, and then he's like, yeah, my son was his age, that kind of stuff. Who knows? Yeah. So now she went. And behold, Boaz came from Bethlehem and said unto the reapers, the Lord be with you. And they answered him, the Lord bless thee. How much time do I have? Okay. Precisely by 2 minutes. Let me now finish on this one. How Boaz greeted his workers. And behold, Boaz came from Bethlehem and said unto the reapers, the Lord be with you. And they answered him, the Lord bless thee. This is Boaz's introduction. And from what he says, we can tell about this man's character. See, according to Psalm 133, let me put it right quick. Psalms 133. And after that, I'm done. To wait till next message. Psalm 133. Okay. Psalm 133 says, behold, how good and pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. It is like the precious ointment upon the head that ran down upon the beard, even Aaron's beard that went down to the skirts of his garment. As the dew of heaven and as the dew that descended upon the mountains of Zion, for there the Lord commanded the blessing, even forevermore. Verse 2 describes what goes on in a corporation. It is like the precious ointment upon the head that ran down upon the beard, even Aaron's beard that went down to the skirts of his garment. Virtue or vice, whatever is the character constituency of the leader, whether it's virtue or vice, it flows down to the followers. If you go to any corporation, you see that they are behaving in a certain manner. If you look at the CEO, the leader, they are imitating him. If the leader is full of vice, it will flow down. The whole corporation is full of vice. If it's full of virtue, it will flow down. The oil is flowing from the head of Aaron down to his beard, those who are connected to him, down to his garment, everything else that's affiliated with him, the corporation, the beards, hair, is representing numbering of people. Because government got told, what prophet was it? One is the prophet told him to cut his hair and then divide into three and set one on fire, cast one into the wind, and put one into his belt, and said that those are the children of Israel. And how we're going to do the children of Israel. So the hair representing the number of people. So when it spoke of the beard, the oil running down to the beard, those are the people connected to the CEO. And then the garment, that's the corporation. The oil starts on the head and flows down. Since Donald Trump took office, we noticed that America's tradition has changed. Things have changed in America. Why? Because there's a new oil flowing down. So when Boaz arrived and blessed the people and they blessed him back, that means the oil of virtue was flowing from Boaz down to all his employees. I saw his character from what he spoke. I saw his character. They're imitating him. The man was full of virtue, and now his employees are full of virtue. Unfortunately, I'm out of time. I don't want this thing to shut down on me. So that's the final lesson. What we learn from Boaz is a man of virtue, just from his introduction. Though that the Lord bless you, they say the Lord bless you too. So the man is full of virtue. The anointing of virtue is flowing from him down to his employees, and they're responding back that virtue. We'll pick up next week, and it's my closing prayer. Oh, great God, Almighty King Jehovah, thank you for the message that has comfort. And as always, I ask Let it be a seed planted in the heart of the hearer, and let it grow and bring forth fruit, and the fruit shall remain. In the mighty name of the eternal Emperor Jesus Christ, I pray. As the heavens agree, I say, Amen. O King, live forever. I love you. God just loves you. And I'll see you next week.